Hi everybody and welcome to another Speed Pete video. So for this video I am drawing an original character for someone from Anime Expo. And so before I start the actual design or the actual illustration, I decided to create little thumbnails of what I could do with this original character. What type of poses, what type of attitude, what type of kind of like design do I want to use for this picture. And so once I picked my favorite one, or decided on maybe a hybrid of two, I redrew it into a larger size that is much closer to the final illustration, and with a darker blue pen. This one in this case is a normal like blue office pen. I added the details in and kind of like visually finalized what I wanted to do with this original character. Once I feel pretty confident with my design, I start working on the actual piece. So the piece of paper that I use for this colored picture or commission is a Bristol Smooth paper. You can find this at the nearest art store like Michael's and whatnot. It's really great. I love it. It's kind of like poster paper, but for artwork. So I use this type of paper for commissions because I feel it's pretty durable, and it kind of gives more substance and weight with the commission when you give it out to the buyer. But yeah. Now, after sketching out the final design, I took my eraser and carefully erased everything. I erased everything pretty lightly so that whatever is left behind, I can still see it, but it's not overly distracting and it's not going to heavily mess up the line art. So with the line art, I'm using a Prismacolor 05 or 03 pen. I switched between the two depending on the detail. Like I said before in a previous video, I switch around these sizes depending on what I'm drawing, especially the size. So for the eyes, I tend to use 05 because they're usually heavily weighted with ink, while clothing, even hair, or the facial features like the nose and the mouth, those are usually drawn with 03 instead, because those are smaller designs, or not designs, but smaller details. So once I had the line art finished, I erased all the excess pencil markings and began coloring. I tend to use Prismacolor markers for clothing, so most of the times when it comes to skin tones, I use Copic markers. So the Copic markers that I have are the Copic Ciao. For those who don't know, the Copic Ciao and Copic Sketch, they are generally the same. The only big difference is kind of like the casing and how they are displayed as a marker. With the Copic Ciao, there isn't a display number or name on the caps, so you really have to go by color when you have to select the colors. Unlike the Copic Sketch, they have number values or a name on the caps, and it's much easier to find the colors you're looking for when you can see it on the cap. So yeah, that's some like little information about Copic markers if you haven't had them before. But overall, they're generally the same. So if you're looking to buy Copic markers for the first time for yourself, I would definitely go for Copic Ciao. They're generally cheaper and they actually kind of just work the same. I have a lot of refills for my Copic markers, and even though they're Copic Ciao, they're not Copic Sketch, it still works. So with the hair, the important kind of like skill or understanding with my process when it comes to this hair was start light and then build into the darkness, because I realized in the references that this individual gave me, there were some areas where the hair color was pretty bright, but then there were also areas where the hair color was pretty dark. So overall, this character's hair color is actually black, but at this time of the video, you can see that it's still pretty light brown. In order for me to deepen the colors to make it darker, I added layers of purples and violets as well. So it turns the warmth color or feel of the hair to a more cooler and I don't know, just much more cooler and much more closer to the black color that I'm kind of aiming for. After I was done with the hair, I worked on the eyes, and this is pretty basic. I don't really work too much on the eyes because a lot of the details actually comes in with the line art. The line art details in the eyes I always do last. I don't do it while or right before I start coloring because the ink can actually bleed if you put in a lot of pressure. So I always put it in last. Now, for the rest of the video, I am also filling out her entire outfit. I mix between either Prismacolor markers or Copic markers, and it's mainly because of availability in colors. It's not because these are better for this situation and these are better for other situations. The only big reason is I don't have all the colors in all the brands, so I kind of just use whatever I got. Now, the idea of starting light and building into the darkness, or building into the heavier or deeper colors, is also applied in her her clothing design on her top. It was kind of interesting to think about how I could tackle this without a digital perspective. So the first thing I did was added the yellow layer first for the details, and in a sense kind of worked it in backwards with the red. So instead of putting the base layer as red and adding in yellow, I did the opposite. So now the base layer is yellow and the red is the details. It took me a while because I had to, like I said, think a little bit backwards, but I love how it turned out. It's still pretty clean, and yeah. So the little poof ball on the side was an additional detail that this individual wanted, and I didn't start by creating a line art for this additional bunny. I just wanted the lines to be much more soft or softer than the character commission itself. So I worked like with the fabric backwards. I painted first and then added the line art. This type of trick is really tricky, so be careful with it and try to practice it beforehand. Because I didn't, and I almost messed it up, but I was able to fix it with my white Jelly Roll 08 pen that you're seeing right now. And I use this pen a lot with commissions. I use this pen a lot with like everything I do. It's totally reliable and it doesn't bleed heavily. The only trick or only advice I have for you guys when you use the white Jelly Roll pen is that you build into the darker areas, so you don't mix the white with any of the line art. It happens a couple of times, but it does, but it can be avoidable. So thank you guys so much for watching. I love this entire picture. It's so cute. She's such an adorable character, and I had a lot of fun drawing her. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please like and subscribe to see more, and I'll see you guys in the next one. So bye!